What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be discussing my basic military training experience during COVID-19. This is part 3 of a 3-part series, so pause this video right now if you haven't already checked out part 1 and part 2 because it goes right along with it. In part 1 to part 2, we discussed my first day in Tent City at basic military training during the pandemic, all the way up until 5th week. In today's video, part 3, we're going to be discussing 5th week up until graduation day. So if this video helps you out at all, please leave it a like and subscribe to my channel. More content's coming soon. To get it all started, in your 5th week of training, you are now about to start all your graduation requirements. They've been teaching you from 0 week to the 4th week how to do drill, how to do left face, right face, about face, how to salute, how to do all of that stuff that you were brand new to, and now they are finally going to grade it on you and see if you have what it takes to actually pass. If you pass the graduation requirement, you are good to go. There are multiple graduation requirements. There are your drill exam, your weapon exam, your rank and reporting exam, your PT exam, uniform exam. So on your weapon exam, throughout the 4th week, 5th week training until you take actually the weapon exam, they are teaching you how to disassemble the M16 rifle and put it back together very quick and efficiently. And they pretty much drill this on you. You are a professional by the end. At first, you're very slow, but it's actually very easy. There's only like 11 parts of the gun that you take apart and you put it back together. They will have you take it apart right in front of them and put it back together. If you are struggling, you get 1 MTI assistance. They will give you pretty much 1 question. You'll say, I can't figure out how to put this in. They'll tell you how to do it. And that's your 1 chance, and they won't talk to you to the end. It's unlimited timing, so you get as long as it takes you to do it. But our longest person probably put it together in 2 minutes, so you're gonna be really good at it. Our fastest time in our flight, he took it apart and put it together in 40 seconds. So don't stress about the weapon exam. You're gonna be a professional at putting that M16 together multiple times. Because when you're bored in the dorm, they let you take the M16s out and pretty much just practice putting it together and taking it apart. I was pretty good on even my 3rd attempt doing it. I had enough to pass the actual graduation requirement, so I was just waiting for it. I was never too worried about that. And then in our drill exam, they're gonna monitor you do a left face, right face, about face, and all stationary drill movements. They're not gonna care about how you march. That is not a requirement to pass. Marching is just something you guys do at BMT. It is not gradable. You can be completely horrible at marching the entire time, and as long as you don't say screw it and that you quit and go home, and you could suck for 7 weeks straight and you're still gonna pass as long as you know how to do the stationary drill movements, which are the easiest drill movements. Everybody in my flight passed the drill exam and weapon exam. Very easy exams. Next, you have the rank and reporting exam. A lot of people kind of screwed up on these. They show you pictures. So they'll point at like, let's say a staff sergeant's rank. They'll point at a technical sergeant, a master sergeant, chief master sergeant. And then they'll point at a couple officers like a colonel, 1st lieutenant, 2nd lieutenant, and general. So you don't know what ranks you're gonna get. They're gonna point at 3 of these and you're gonna have to name all 3 right. If you get 1 wrong, you fail. It's gonna be 3 random ones. They'll probably give you 1 easy one and then 2 ranks that you're a little bit unsure of. I passed immediately in that. I never had to do a redo. I never needed help. I passed on the spot in the ranks. But then the reporting part of it, I did mess up twice in a row. So they have you come reporting to an officer. So by reporting to an officer, you have to knock on the door. You have to say your reporting statement, and then they have to allow you to enter. You can't enter without being allowed to enter, and then you step in, you do more reporting procedures, talk to the officer, and then there's a certain way to exit. You step back, do an about face, leave. And I failed that one 2 times in a row, and I still passed. They don't care. As long as you eventually get it right, you're gonna graduate. They can't help you out during it. You just have to help yourself out. She gave me another attempt. I ended up passing. It all went pretty well. Everybody in my flight passed that as well. So the next exam that you're gonna be graded on for graduation is gonna be your PT exam. This is the hardest exam for many people. For me, I passed PT very easily. It wasn't too difficult for me. If you haven't already, please tune into my physical training PT video that I have on my channel. It talks about all the requirements, how it all went, and how it's all conducted if you want more detail on that. So the PT exam is they're gonna make you do push-ups, sit-ups, and then the 1.5 mile run. Everybody in my flight ended up passing that. And some people honestly went from 10 push-ups to over 40 push-ups, from 15 sit-ups to over 50 sit-ups. So another kid in my flight, he had an 18-minute 1.5 mile run. He got that down to 12 minutes and ended up passing. So if you're struggling in that right now, don't be worried. They're gonna make you pass. They also have extra PT help. So after you do the PT exercises and workout for the day with your entire flight, they'll have you stay for another 30 minutes to an hour or whatever it is to get extra training in one-on-one with other instructors. And those are physical training instructors. So they're gonna be pushing you to run, hit out push-ups, sit-ups, and motivate you to get that completed. So on my PT exam, I ended up doing very well. I passed my entire PT exam and I passed with a 90+, so I don't have to do a PT exam now for a whole year. If you get above a 90, you only have to test once a year to show them that you are still in shape and doing good. If you get below a 90, it's only every 6 months, so it does not matter. If you just hit the minimum on every requirement, you're gonna pass your PT graduation requirement. And then the next requirement is the uniform exam. So there's a little bit of drill movements and marching in this uniform exam. You go up, you march up. The instructor is also getting graded at this time. So she wants to look good. She doesn't want to get embarrassed. You march up. She comes one by one down the list and she looks at you in OCPs and grades you on OCPs. If you have a string hanging out on your OCP, something like that, you get it marked off. And I believe if you have 3 or more marks, you will fail your uniform inspection and have to do it at a later time. And if you fail again, you are going to get reclassed automatically. So you have the OCPs, which is your camouflage outfit, and then you have your blues outfit, which you dress up, you put your dress shoes on, you put your blues on and your tie on, and they go out and rank you on that. For me, I passed with 100% on the OCPs, and on the blues, I had a little baby, I would say it's a piece of fuzz, to be honest, on the top right of my uniform, and she saw that, gave me 1 mark off, but I ended up passing because it was the only thing wrong. They will also check and make sure you shaved your face. One kid in our flight got yelled at because another MTI came up, looked at his face. He told the MTI, I already shaved this morning, but he had a beard, so he got yelled at, accused of lying and all of that. So make sure you shave your face before your uniform exam. Shaving the face is probably the #1 thing they are gonna look at. They're gonna have you pull your mask down. They're gonna look, make sure you shaved your face. The mask saves you most of the days from shaving because they can't see your face. But the day of the uniform thing, they're gonna make sure they eyeball that and check that. So those are the exams. You will have your drill exam, your weapon exam, your rank and reporting exam. So pretty much saying the ranks and reporting to the officer, your PT exam, and then that's all the graduation requirements you need to pass BMT. After that, you will go to Beast Week. Beast Week is the week that you go and live outside in tents and you are in a deployed environment. But for us, we already had a deployed environment scenario for 2 weeks because we were in a quarantine process. We were the first ever flight that had to even live in tents for 2 weeks. And now we're at Beast Week for 5 days, living on cots and sleeping bags. But we already did that for 2 weeks, so it was no big deal to us. It was just another day. So our Beast Week is reduced because of the pandemic. Usually it is a week long. This time it was like 4 days long. We also did not have to do the gas chamber or wear any mop gear. So we had to do no experience with the gas chamber, which I honestly wanted to do the gas chamber. I wanted to experience that and see how it actually felt, but that got taken out of us. Instead, we did shooting. We went down to the range. Everybody was taught how to shoot a gun, load a magazine, and pull the trigger. And that is another requirement to pass. You do need to hit the target and get a certain score to pass. So you get 24 shots. If you get over 22 shots, you get marksman, which is a graduation ribbon. You get a weird on your uniform. It looks really good. It stays with you for life in your career in the Air Force that you are marksman certified. So I actually got marksman. I was one of 2 in my flight that got marksman. I shot 24 shots, hit 22 out of 24. You need 22 or more to get marksman, and I did that. Just to pass the requirement, you need at least 12 shots on the target, and they'll pass you because you are in the range of shooting it. They set up this target about 50 yards out. Well, not 50 yards out, my bad. It's like 25 yards out, but each target is a different size. There's targets that are like that long, and then that long. I'll put a photo right here so you can see a little bit about what I'm talking about we have to shoot. So even though it is only 20 to 25 yards out, it is still pretty hard to shoot a target that is like 5 inches or less. And most people, it's their first time shooting. I've already shot at the shooting range a couple of times, so I was familiar shooting an AR-15. So when they handed me an M4, I was able to hit every single target. I got marksman. That was an amazing achievement of mine at BMT. Probably my #1 achievement I even got at BMT was getting the marksman ribbon. So in my notebook here, I said one of them is like 8 inches, one is 6 inches, and one is like 4 inches long. So that should give you a little bit of insight about what you are shooting at. The other things going on at Beast Week, besides just shooting and having to walk around all day in 110 degrees heat, they teach you security procedures. They show you if you are in a deployed environment on watch and you have a guy that you don't know who it is, he's walking up to the gate. They teach you how to tell him to stop, freeze, drop his gun, put his gun down, turn around, walk away from you, walk up to you to the sound of your voice. They teach you how to detain him, do all of that. So for half the time there, you are learning these security procedures, how to detain someone, how to tell if somebody is a friendly versus an enemy coming to your base. And then we had the obstacle course. The obstacle course was still in play. We got to do the obstacle course, which is this big course with all these different obstacles. It goes on for like an hour. You're crawling through mud, crawling through under logs, above logs, all of this. You're getting dirty. It's actually pretty fun. I liked it. I liked the obstacle course. It's draining. By the end of it, you're filled in sand, dirty as hell. You got mud on your face, mud on your clothes. You're doing all that, and during the entire Beast Week, you're carrying around an M16 rifle on your back. You have to go everywhere with your gun. You always have your gun on you. But our Beast Week, we had this one room that we would meet up in every single night. This room was no air conditioning, 110 degrees out, and everybody was sweating. One guy in our flight, he would take a shower, go to the meeting at the end of the light where they brief us on what we're doing the next day and what happened today and everything that went on. They'd show us some clips, teach us some things. This guy would take a shower, put new clothes on, come, and it looked like he just got out the shower again. His entire body was drenched in sweat. It was so funny. And it was horrible though. They would hand us some apples, stuff like that. We're sitting in rooms just sweating to death. It is horrible. They really need to install AC in this thing because it is a miserable experience sitting in a 120 degree room, drenched in sweat and a bunch of gnats and bugs flying around you, biting you constantly. You're just waiting to be able to leave, to be honest, when you hit that room. So after that, they have you go back during Beast Week, live in the tents, and it's just like EC duty, but now you're doing EC duty outside your tent. You have 2 people posted up for 2-hour shifts. So I did it. I sat outside. I had to talk to other tents. We had an opportunity to talk to the sister flight girls. Finally, the entire BMT, you don't talk to girls, right? And then when you get to Beast Week, you see all these guys talking to all these girls. It's like they've been trapped in a cage and they start talking to them. So the experience of EC monitor at Beast Week is you're sitting outside in chairs, and it's just different because in the dorms, you're sitting in the front of the dorms. At Beast Week, you're sitting outside in chairs as if you're on deployment with your rifle and you're guarding your tent. So that is our Beast Week experience. It was fun. It was a good 5 days. So overall, Beast Week is just extremely hot. You're sweating to death. You're crawling through mud. You're doing all of this. It's very fun though. You get to finally interact with other people's flights, your own flight, and you're not getting yelled at all. You're pretty much, you're doing good. It's not horrible experience. You're not getting screamed at 24/7. It's a good time. All right, so now we finally have hit graduation week, the week we've all been waiting for. We came straight from Beast Week to having our stuff cleaned and having all the sand dumped out of our pockets, do all that. And then we're going straight back to Tent City, where we lived for 2 weeks. So now we lived in tents for 2 weeks in our first 0 week to first week of training. And now we're living in tents for our last week of training, plus an additional 5 days that we just spent at Beast Week. Overall, we lived in tents for 3.5 weeks, first flight in history to ever deal with tents for that long. And the Air Force had this big thing planned about a live stream and showing off that the Air Force can continue going, and we have what it takes to send troops into the military and have them trained and ready to go during a pandemic. It was awesome, but before all of that, we just got back from Beast Week, and now it's time to take our end of course exam, your last official graduation requirement. I put out a video on the end of course exam if you want to know how to study and pass that. It is on my channel. The link is right down below, and I will also link it up right here. So the video talks about in depth how to study for it, how to pass it, and how to make sure you're going to graduate, because this is your last graduation requirement, probably the most stressful, because now you just went through everything. You passed all your other graduation requirements. You did everything you had to do what it takes to pass BMT, and you have this last exam standing in the way. You go from Beast Week, and now you're not doing class, you're not studying, you don't have your book, you're not going to class learning all the information, because throughout the first 0 week to 6 week, you're in class every day for like 2 to 3 hours, and they were teaching you about the military, the Air Force, history of the Air Force, what to do in the Air Force, all of this different stuff. You'll have sexual harassment classes, suicide prevention classes, all of this, and then you'll have a bunch of just Air Force history classes, and you'll learn everything you need to know about the Air Force, which is all compiled into this one test. And then we all went off to this test, and we took it after Beast Week. It was stressful. None of us have even thought about studying, because we were just living in the woods in a deployed environment scenario, and now we have to get back, live in tents again, and go take the EOC. Thankfully, my entire flight passed the EOC, and it was straight up graduation practice after the EOC. So they had us going out every day practicing the coin ceremony, the process that we were gonna be live streamed to everybody in the world on our graduation day. The commander would go out there, do his speech, the other people would say their speeches, they would hand us our coins, we would do a salute, we would stand still for the anthem to play, and we would do a bunch of stuff that we all had planned for our big day. And then when the big day finally arrived, we were out there, and a big thunderstorm starts happening, a big rainstorm comes rolling in, and it's not stopping. We were trying to delay it, and then eventually it got to the point where they're like, screw it, this is the day you've been waiting for, we're doing it, let's let it roll. We all started marching out there in the straight up rain. We had the camera crews all watching us, they were all set up for this big day, and we were doing it in the rain. The MTIs were yelling, this is what we waited for. This is our day. This is what you've been training for. Be happy. Let's go do this. We're standing there in the rain. We're getting drenched. We're excited. We don't care that we're getting wet. We're finally going to be airmen and all of this. And then the commander called it off. He said, this isn't a good look. There's everyone getting soaked. It's not going to work, because then the speech is going to be ruined and everything like that. So they called it off and put us in the PC. The PC is the room we took the EOC in, and it is also the room that we also conducted a couple of classes in about our, end of course exam studies that they would hold. So our graduation took place in the PC area, and it was unlike other people's graduations. We just had our speeches, and then we had our 5-second walk of fame in front of the camera. Here's a video of it, and that's me walking down the center aisle past the camera, and then I officially graduate and I become an airman. So if this video helped you out at all, I would appreciate it if you like this video and subscribe to my channel. I produce a video every single week, and thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys next week.